everybody. It's great to have everyone here for this week's From Boxes to Butterflies. It's been a crazy week over this since the last time I had someone on, because I had CJ's Global Summit for a couple of days, and it's just been so many things. And I actually, a lot of you know my book that's out, so I'm working on the paperback version of that right now. That will hopefully come out soon for Search for the Armor of God, the hold it in your hands paper version, as opposed to the Kindle computerized version. And it's great seeing you here, sis. You're the first one up, Nicole. So happy to see you. And another thing that's coming up, and it's going to happen pretty soon, is a movement is getting started. A movement's being started to focus on moving beyond boxes and shine. And there's more details to come. It's going to be a combination of coaching, of some workshop plans that I'm working on, and consulting, business case. Because when we're not able to be ourselves, and we're hiding ourselves, it becomes very difficult to engage with people, to be that person who's giving ideas freely, if you're always afraid of somebody finding out about something from your past. You're neurodiverse, it's a mental health issue, a tattoo, whatever it is. So that's coming up, and I will start posting on it. I will start putting things together. I have some ideas to really make this a fun kickoff. But for now, what I want to do is bring up somebody that I have known for just over a year now. We got together. We first crossed paths in a coaching program where we were in the same program, and we kind of got paired up because the gal in charge, she paired up everybody in it. And from that moment we got paired up, it's just been a total blessing getting to know and spend time and have both comment conversations and live conversations. And now I get to have her here, and a conversation that everybody really gets to know her. So I'm going to read Paula's bio, and then we're going to bring her up. Paula is passionate about keeping things simple and clear. Based in Switzerland, she serves clients and audiences worldwide in 3 languages: English, German, and Finnish. She is a professional speaker and leadership and performance coach who is able to create space where insights and transformation can take place. She's a mother, entrepreneur, a former credit manager, clown, dancer, and a certified Pilates instructor. Her methods are unique, as she's able to challenge her clients and audiences holistically on mind, body, and soul levels, and always sprinkled with joy. She works individually as well as with groups, and runs in-person retreats and online interactive webinars. And I am so happy to bring up Paula. Hey,
Hello.
Paula. It's great seeing you here, and just having a chance. I mean, we keep saying we need to catch up. We need to find that time to talk. And what we did is just a bit more public than usual.
It doesn't matter. I don't care. We're here. And I mean,
Exactly.
it's amazing to be here with you and to share this space with you. Thank you.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here because I know so much of your story myself. We've gone through a lot of similar things, and it's been a total joy to see how over over this past year the things that you've done, and I know there's more hiding there that's going to burst forward. You have that personality, you have that style, and it's beautiful. And what I'd love for you to do now is to take some few minutes and let everybody know a little bit more about who is Paula.
Yes, thank you. Well, I was just enjoying listening to the the bio, which I wrote myself, and I'm like, wow, that sounds really cool. Uh, and then if I look back, oftentimes I have grown up to be very critical about myself, and I'm learning, and it's a process that will probably go on for the rest of my life to be more gentle with myself and to really acknowledge things that where I come from and the things that I have been through and done and achieved, even also in the last 12 months since we've known each other. That yes, a lot has happened and I have a lot to give, and I have grown a lot and my business has grown in this time. So, yeah, to go back a little bit even before we met. Yes, I said I'm in Switzerland, that's true, but I'm from Finland originally. Hence, I'm coaching also in Finnish. I happen to have clients in all these three languages, which is, I have to say, is quite a challenge because, yeah, I speak Finnish with my kids most of the time, and that's not the same language as I use when I'm coaching someone. So, whew, that's a mind game there to try to keep up. And yeah, so coming from Finland, I went to I grew up dancing ballet, and this is a big deal for me because it's the big part of my background that, yeah, has caused a lot of good things about me, about resilience and being determined and focused, and uh, but also there have been things that have caused some negative things in my life, a lot actually. And so actually my coaching journey started with making an app. I built an app and I started first coaching young dancers in confidence as an kind of a gift to a former me, to a me that was would have been really grateful for something like that when I was like 16 to whatever 20 something, and really too much of listening to my own thoughts, which at the time, of course, I didn't have the guidance, so I didn't know not to listen to it. So I started building this app and the programs for self-confidence, and that's how my coaching career started, which was something that I didn't even realize that it was coaching, until someone pointed out to me that what I do sounds like coaching. And I
Right.
realized I'm living my dream because that was a dream of mine. And so that's how the whole thing started. And that's only about a couple of years, not even a year and a half ago, that this realization came to me. So it's brand new. And I mean, now that I hear myself say that, I'm like, wow, well, that's pretty impressive to come with a year and a half. And, here I am and I'm building my own business and I'm coaching people, I'm coaching leaders in leadership, in performance, and also performance. Like it just came out of kind of nowhere. I've gotten to coach people who are on stage without
Right.
me actually even talking about it in that sense. But that comes naturally to me because obviously I grew up kind of on stage. And that clowning part is also a part of that. I I learned a lot of mime.
Well, and what I remember, the fact with the ballet dancing, and when we first got together, you you were looking to help the confidence of those kids that were going through ballet
Mhm.
performance. You've been coaching performance for a very long time. You may not
Mhm.
quite see it that way, but going back to those kids and everything I know that you've done and trying to instill this is something that I loved about it, how you focused on the kids to boost them at a
Mhm.
time when they really needed it.
Yes. Yeah, because I was thinking in the first place, I was thinking of myself at the age of 16 when I was really like I was dancing 6 days a week, the whole thing like classical ballet as the main thing and then everything else contemporary and jazz and tap and everything that you can imagine I was doing. And with the goal, actually, I wanted to become a professional dancer. And that time, I was watching videos and TV. Obviously, that was in the, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of older and, well, yeah, there were no cell phones and no internet and, kind of like that. So you compare yourself with all these images. Now it's even more so. Even more so, of course, you get millions of images within a fraction of a second and you compare yourself. And I never expressed my dream. I never expressed my dream and said out loud, I want to be a dancer because I didn't look like one. My body is not a ballet dancer body. And that's just how it is. It's a very, very hard realization when that's what you want to do. And so
Right.
I drowned my dream and I did not allow myself to dream. I was like, well, my dream doesn't matter because I can't be a ballet dancer. However, I could have been a contemporary dancer, or some other form of dancing. Only a fraction, little small part of all the dancing world is ballet, classical ballet. And all of that ballet technique is used in all of the other techniques. So I mean, but at that time, like, I closed it off. I was like, "No, no, no. You're not
Right.
allowed," and that caused a lot of problems.
Well, I can get that too. I understand that because especially at that age, what kind of support did you have for your dreams?
Well, not much, really. First of all, I did not express the dream,
Right.
and I even then and until today, I am, like, shy of cameras. I mean, I actually don't if I don't have to look at myself, I don't care. But if I have to see my own picture, it's hard. And it even to this day, I have to admit, I'm not over it, but I'm working on it and I acknowledge that fact. But back then, like I did not even want to be in the pictures. I did not want to be filmed, even though of course I did not watch anything. And then yeah, I didn't get all the roles. First of all, I'm short. So you don't see it on the camera, but I'm really short. And so yeah, it's a physical world where you got to be a certain size and look a certain way. I didn't fit the model. So I got some roles and solos and all this kind of stuff. I was good. I still am good if I go to ballet class. I love it. But and I didn't get any kind of acknowledgement in that way. And so I kind of like I flew by and learned to adjust myself, learned to be a good observer, which helps me now as a coach, as being an observer.
Hmm.
Back then, I was like putting myself in the background for the while until I figured out what people want to see and be like, all right, well, that's how I want to be here, and that's how I want to be with them because that's what I think they want to see. So I was adjusting all the time, and I didn't really get any support because maybe that wasn't so obvious. I've been, very good at acting a role and being in the background and kind of like that. So, and also, yeah, my parents, they didn't ever, you know, they did the best they could and they didn't really demand anything. They didn't want, they expressed their wants or needs or whatever. So there was kind of no support in that way as well. So I went through everything thinking, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to, okay, go through the high school, and next thing, go through to college. But then, of course, then I did make a, back then I didn't acknowledge it, but it was a very brave decision to go to college in the US. I mean, that's not normal for a Finnish guy. I'm not I'm a girl, guy, whatever. Everyone. It was, even to this day, of course, it's not normal. Not everyone goes to college in the US. Well, I went, and that was a huge thing. I mean, thank you to this, I can speak English like I do, and I feel comfortable in a lot of places. And
Right.
I mean, a huge, huge step to do that. Um, and at that time, I was like, "Oh, that's not brave." That's like, well, anyone could do this. Sure, with 19, I move out. I go across the ocean, and I've never been to the U.S. I picked the college because it was the most southern college, as far away from cold weather as I could be. That's it. So that's how I've been all throughout, kind of like a fish swimming in water, going back and forth, seeing where's the best current, which altogether is not so bad, but there was no purpose to it, really. There was no my own, I was not following my dream.
Right. And I think a lot of us run into that. I mean, I can see a lot of that with my own story of going through high school, and you just kind of stand back. You're not sure what to do, what's going on. And when you don't feel the support of others, for a lot of us, that means just kind of pull back and not not really explore options, and especially at that time, because for me high school was the early 80s,
Mm,
and that means there is no internet, there is no cell phones and all of that. You got MTV coming up, you have television, radio, and a library. That's
mm.
where everything is at, which means it takes time to even get information. The library doesn't have the book you want, you have to order it. It takes time. It is not the just add water instant life that we have going on around us now.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things that I think made a difference for us at that point. When you don't have those ready resources, it can be so much harder to break out of those boxes and do stuff. It's easier to hide.
It is, and you don't at that time, it was kind of harder to find all the different options you could have. It was very limited, like, for example, like choosing a major for the college. I was like, well, kind of inside of me, I was thinking, well, if I can't be a dancer, it doesn't matter. I don't know what I want. So I chose business as a major, which is like absolutely the least specific that you can go. It is so wide and broad and everything. And yes, I had fun. I was a really good student. And I took a minor in art because I loved painting and drawing and all this. And I was like, well, but that's a perfect minor because I got no homework that I have to read. My homework is going to be painting, making sculptures. And that's what I did.
Right. And that's it. It was a tough time when you compare it to now because of the instant. Yet I suspect when you look at your time back then and you look at what you're doing now and how you're helping people, would it be safe to say that some of what you went through and dealt with during those years, and then going into the business world, that kind of prepared you for being able to be there to help others?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there. at the time when you go through these things, I think at the time of the college or even a little bit afterwards, you don't realize the value of it. But once you go, I like for the many years, I never knew why I would study business. I was like, what's the point? Like, it really doesn't have, and I don't interest, it's not interesting. However, I was certified as a business coach and consultant. And a man, does that knowledge of business really come handy there? Knowing and coaching leaders who are in the business world in corporations of different sizes, I have the basic understanding. All of that paid off. I
Hmm.
just didn't know it at the time. And for many years to follow, oh, well, I worked in business, so it helped to know numbers and to understand how to read financial statements and how to talk about different parts of a business. But oftentimes, and I've talked about this recently with other people, is you don't realize how not everyone has the same knowledge, or not everyone has the same thoughts. And many times we think, oh, well, everyone thinks like that. Everyone knows this. Everyone, no, not everyone. It's often quite unique. And not everyone has the same understanding. They don't see it, even if they had the same education, they wouldn't see the things in the same way. And that's what makes us all unique. And this kind of understanding, kind of allowing yourself to also be like, yeah, well, that's what I learned. And the kind of base understanding that I have is unique because of the combination that I have from trained as a dancer and in the business world and in the arts and as a clown and having to learn to mime. So not using your voice, which is kind of funny because I really like speaking in front of people. And in mime or dance, I mean, there are some pieces of dance where you speak on stage, but it's not the same as like acting or anything. You don't really use your voice that much. And now I'm like, well, I'm ready to open my voice now. So let's bring that on.
Right. And hear all of that and see how it meshes into what you're doing now. And what you're doing now, I see even that has a lot of diversity because you talk about coaching individuals and groups, you talk about business, you also talk about retreats.
Mhm.
So what kind of retreats, because I know you've had some, what kind of retreats have you done? How do you approach it? And what is your goal for the retreat that you really want to do with people?
Well, the goal is really to combine that everything, the mind, the body, and the soul. Like that's all in all my coaching, whether it's an individual coaching, even if it's group coaching, I bring the body part to it and the spiritual part to it. And of course, the mind, which is the main part often. I don't want to separate them. So, in any retreats, the goal is to give tools in all three areas. I'm all about giving tools and tools in terms of you're collecting your own toolbox and toolbox for your life to deal with situations, to keep growing, to be evolving. And one tool might work today and it might not work 6 months from now, but another tool that you collected along the way that's in your toolbox might not be so relevant today, whether it's to do with your physical body, some sort of exercises, or what kind of movement that speaks to you and your body that's good for you right now. Well, something that happens, well, 6 months later, something else that you've learned. And if you collected all these tools, you have the tools forever. And you could always be like, oh, yeah, this is something I can use right now. It wasn't relevant 2 months ago, but today it is. And I do not want to exclude any part of us humans as we are. We have all these parts. We are spiritual, and we are in our body, physical body, and we have our mental capacities, and all of that is combined in one. And so for me, it's important that all of that is there. So since I am a Pilates instructor in the retreats, there's Pilates, not pure Pilates as it is in classical form. I make movement and I use my techniques that I have learned that I've used myself. I'm not going to give a ballet class. That might be a little too much, but I might take some things out of that. And I do in my posture, in my how I explain things. A lot of that comes from ballet, whether you know it or not, but it does. And so all of these elements come in, and everything that I've learned along the way, and a lot of that, I have to say, comes also from times when I was like really depressed, and I went, my psychiatrist at the time counted in 7 years, and this is a scary number, I was in a clinic for 11 times. And in those times in the clinic, nothing seemed to work. But now I'm looking back and regularly things come into my mind from that time that have to do with my spirituality or with my mind, a lot of with my mind, techniques that I learned while in the clinic. Mindfulness, a lot of mindfulness techniques, a lot of
Hmm.
meditation, yoga, other movement, other kinds of breathing techniques, relaxation, anything. We did a lot of stuff there that was, to stimulate some kind of opening up of some kind of light, which for me didn't work while I was in the clinic, never ever. But afterwards, all these things pop in, and I'm using them. I'm using them in my everyday,
Right.
every time I get to coach, if it's coaching, if it's retreats, all of that flows into everything that I do.
And I've seen that when I look at the program that we were in, when the conversations we've had, and I even see the events that you're involved with, and I can see how all of that, the mindfulness, the mindset, it's all a part of everything you do. It's a way that you basically bring people into a bit more of their own awareness, right?
Yes. Mhm. Exactly. Because yes, and also when I talk about leadership coaching and this level, like executive coaching, is something that really has spoken to me because at the end of all this, I want to make my little contribution in this world to reduce the number of burnouts and mental illnesses, especially like depression, which is so wide everywhere, through working with leaders who are the people that people look up to. So if a
Right.
leader is taking steps, making healthy decisions about their own life, and you don't separate a leader and a human, it's a human. It's one single person who is a human being. Their role in that case is a leader to some organization. That's just a role as a human, but that human being is in the middle. And when that human being is being healthy, treating themselves in a kind and loving way, and showing that to the outside world is looking at that leader, and they will learn, they will implement, they will be influenced by that leader so much that I believe eventually it will trickle into all the parts of organizations. So if the lead, because it doesn't really work if you only talk to a certain team at some level of an organization about stress management and burnout prevention and mental health. If the leadership is not doing anything about that, it will never have long lasting effect.
Right. And the other advantage of the leader being the one that's doing this, and to see that advantage, is it's more likely to get incorporated into the organization than trying to go at it from some other direction,
Yeah,
because there's always going to be that top down of something in the organization. So why not that?
exactly. And that's why I'm so passionate about working with leaders and helping organizations in that way. The leader has to be on board. They have to be on board. If they are on board, things will get changed. There will be a more kind culture, and that alone will result into less burnouts, which
Hmm.
unfortunately, especially after COVID, has risen like major, big time. There's burnout everywhere, and it doesn't really look at any kind of it. It's not selective in what you do, where you work, who you are, what color your skin is. It does not discriminate. And so, yeah, some we got to do something about that. And this is the way I want to do something about that because yes, I also have a long history of mental illness, and I burnt out and went through depression and really bad and really bad. I almost didn't survive, and I did. And hence, I was given like a second life. And so here we are. That's what I want to do.
Well, and I love what you've done with it because you're you're always there giving. I can see how you're taking everything that you've gone through, everything that you've learned over the years in all these different parts of your life, and you're always there to give to others. I see it with the coaching because I've had a chance to be in some of your workshops in the earlier part, and I see it within your posts. And it was just beautiful to see that you were able to take that vacation and come to the States and actually have those in real life moments with so many people in California, especially.
Hmm.
Because I remember seeing you're like, I'm meeting with this person and this person and this person. And at the same time, you're getting ready for the global summit as well. I was like, you're a busy girl last week.
Yeah, that was a busy time. But look, it was like living in a huge adventure dream. I was in California. I went to Hollywood. Oh my goodness. And, the best part was, look, I have to tell because this is like, I went to the beach over there. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I live in Switzerland. We're like far away from any major beach anyway. I mean, and I went there and look, I do these meditations where in the meditation it's a guided one and it says, you close your eyes and you imagine yourself in a tranquil space. The most tranquil space that you can imagine. And for me, that's the beach. And that was the beach. Like not just any, that was the beach I went to in California. So next to all these real life encounters with people like I know from here online, LinkedIn, and in other online worlds, and I get to meet people and hug people in real life. I actually stood on the beach that I have imagined in my mind as being my tranquil space.
Hmm.
And that's just like unreal. I was pinching myself blue.
Don't hurt yourself.
No, I stopped pinching now. It was real.
Very real. And being able to go to those beaches, because I'm sure what beaches you do get to go to in Switzerland probably, I'm not sure exactly how warm they might get either.
Well, yeah, first of all, it's like a few lakes here, and then here where I live, we have a river, the Rhine, flows through the city. Um, there's no beach anywhere close. And if there is, it's like a small lake. Nothing like an ocean. I mean, you have to go to like through
Right.
France to the Atlantic, and that's quite a bit, it's not right next door. So, yeah, that was amazing. And the whole experience and meeting people who, yeah, it's not like I don't, it's people I knew. It's not like you're meeting people who don't know. It's
Exactly.
people I know. I just haven't been able to see in real life and be in the same physical space. But it's not strangers, it's friends, and that's the beautiful, beautiful part of it is to be able to have a conversation. And one day, Susanna, we're gonna be in the same space too. And amazing.
Yeah, it's just a shame you couldn't come just a little further north. But
Oh, you guys have such a big country. I mean, man,
oh
that's
yeah, there is well, and if you come when you come to the western side of the country, the states are also big. So,
yeah. I mean, Switzerland is like, I don't know, 1/4 of California.
well,
Yeah,
yeah, it might be like in Illinois or Ohio or something. And for me, a lot of those states, when you get on the other side of the Mississippi, there's states that you can drive through two or three of them in a day. Whereas here, it's you might be a full day going from one end of the state to the other. And if you want to see anything in between, well, it's probably a 2-day trip.
yeah. I mean, I never been. I have to say, I probably drove more than I have driven this entire year. Like when I was in LA and Southern California. Whoa. I'm glad I survived. That was yeah, an experience by itself. And I don't have a car over here. I don't need a car. And
Right.
so it's different. Definitely. Whew. Like everyone was saying, oh, the traffic, the traffic. It's like, how bad can that be? Now I know.
Uh,
Um,
I could actually send you some places that are worse, but we won't go there.
no, yeah,
You go
that
to
was
Asia, let's just say I've seen the Chinese drivers, um, and I basically said there is no way you're getting me to drive in that traffic.
no, I don't think I would also. I spent a semester in Hong Kong back in a very long time ago, 99.
Right.
And I mean, also they drive on the other side, and then it's just crazy.
Oh,
But I
that
thought even
really
in
makes
California, I was like, "Ma," I didn't even dare to put the radio on because I was like, "I can't be distracted."
well, it really gets interesting too because if you're in China, they're on the right side.
Yeah.
And then you can tell which cars have driven over the border and are now driving for them on the wrong side.
Mhm.
So it's like somewheres they have to have this switchback thing to get to the right side. But I got so used to these drivers, I basically just left. It's like, I'm not going to worry about this because I'd be in the back seat and a driver would come up to an intersection and they really wouldn't stop going to it's like you could be side road going into a major intersection where everybody's going 30, 45, take your pick, sometimes miles, sometimes kilometers, but it's still fast enough. And they
Mhm.
just come up to it and take a right. And I swear they only look to the right to make sure they don't hit somebody going to the right. They're not looking to the left to see if somebody's going to hit them. And I just kind of go, oh my God.
It's like you're closing your eyes and just going through.
I think some of those drivers, that's what that's what they do. And
Mhm.
then I've been in Bangkok, but I would say probably the worst was Manila.
Yeah, and Ollie was just writing Naples.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but Manila, when you get into the main part of Manila, it's like a freaking gridlock. There's an elevated train, and it's a huge security thing just to go through security to get onto the train to go someplace. Like they open up your luggage and check everything out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I was just the Ollie said not Manila, he said Naples, and this happened in Italy once, and Like, I had been told stories. I mean, I'm close to Italy here. It's like, yeah, in Italy, they're crazy. They're crazy drivers, and they don't like there are rules, but they don't care. Who cares about rules, right? And yeah, if there's a traffic circle, and this happened to us, my mother and I, we were on um, Sardinia, the island, and then there was a traffic circle, and there was one car that was coming, and since there was nobody else at the traffic circle, he was going to the left, so he went to the left, like directly, not going around, just the wrong way. I was like, "Wow, that's it." Yeah, that's crazy. Would never happen here in Switzerland. People are very strict with their rules and they stick to them. Very different over here.
Well, there's so many places that are different. Um, I'm kind of curious as you talk about the retreats and stuff as well. Where where are the places that you would love to have a retreat, and for about how many days is the retreat of your dreams to host?
Well, right now I'm planning on a couple of retreats. So there will be one in Crete, the island of Crete in Greece. And then another one probably in Tuscany in Italy. And that's what we're looking into. And absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous place. I mean, and they're about 5 days, 5 or 6 days, so almost a week. So there's a little bit of also people, if people travel, I want to be able to make sure that there's like a natural and organic flow to extending the stay, whether
Right,
it's over another weekend or something. Because if people travel to that place, you might want to look around and take some time to see where you are. And I want to accommodate that as also like as a possibility. And so, of course, I mean, I go for beautiful places. So there's also a place in California that I have been in touch with. Um, it's in northern kind of California.
hmm,
Uh, but there I haven't had any concrete plans yet. I just have seen the place in video and pictures. I've talked to them, and yeah, I go for the beauty of the place because that brings a lot of good energy, uh,
right,
and that's important. If the surroundings, and I learned a lot. I went to this lecture about architecture and creativity, and I learned a lot, and that's what I incorporate as well into planning the retreats, in being in places that really encourage creativity. That means there's wide open spaces that you can look out into and spend really time in colors like green and blue, and allow your mind also to open up along with the space that you're surrounded by. So there's spaces that you're inside that you can see out. There's spaces outside that you can see wide open spaces. It's important for me that there it's possible to go walking or do little hikes, go in the outdoors, be in the outdoors. And that's also why the places that I look into are like I wouldn't go to Finland necessarily like in the winter, for example, because it's just cold and dark. And yes, it can be very cozy and stuff, but you probably don't want to go outside when it's that cold.
right.
So it has to fit in all, like I said, the mind, the body, and the spirit. So every part of your being is having a retreat, not just your physical body and not just your mind. The soul is part of it. Your creativity, being able to open up yourself to being able to receive information, receive inputs and other energies so that you can basically help yourself to a higher vibration, to a different level of energy that's not lasting only for the time of the retreat and that place and space, but it extends to hopefully for the rest of your life.
Well, and I like how you put that, a retreat for all the parts of you. 'Cause I feel like a lot of those retreats, there's a focus. It's going to focus on the mind or the body. Yet the way you said that, the way you put it, to to be a retreat for the whole body, for all the parts, for mind, body, soul. I just like how that comes together and creates a vision of something really different, I feel.
Yeah, I think I'm sure there are other, I mean, a lot of retreats also bring that together, but how concrete it is, I don't know. I mean, of course, I haven't been to all these retreats, and but this is something I also trust my intuition in, being like, I know my skills, I know, and I do these with other people. Like it's always a combination of someone else and me, and our skills, our talents, our how we serve is complementary to each other. So whatever I can do, then the other person that I'm doing this with, their skills come and we work together to
Mhm.
provide the best possible experience, so that, yeah, all these parts are being touched, because yes, we all got our energies, and somebody is more inclined to receive from me and somebody else from the other person, and it's important. And also, just in terms of organization and taking things on your own shoulders, it's just easier if you're two people and you can divide things like responsibilities, and that's really allows a lot more freedom and less stress for the entire experience.
Well, and you definitely want that less stress. I mean, I've seen a number of retreats. It's always fun to see who ends up being in that leadership of the retreat for what they're focusing on, what they're doing. It is almost impossible to do a retreat as a single person, especially if you want any number of people there. There's
Mhm.
got to be. But the beauty is, I have a feeling the people that you go to those retreats with, that you work with, you probably have complementing skill sets and focus, so that
Mhm.
there might be some overlap, but it really gives something robust to everybody that attends.
Yes, exactly. And like that toolbox that I mentioned earlier, when there's two people, you got more tools and
Mhm.
you get more choices, you get more selection and to put into your toolbox. And it's just all for the better, because then you got even more things that you can pick from and choose from and you get to try. And on these retreats, you get like little snippets and little things here and there about trying different techniques, for example, for clearing the mind, or for using your body in relaxing your body, or creating more energy through breath, or creating more calmness through breath, or anything like that. And if you got two people, you got like double the tools, because our words also, if even if we were speaking about the same thing, it's going to come out in a different way when I speak about it, when you speak about it. And maybe how you speak, when how you describe it, is more understandable and relatable to someone, and not so much to someone else, where they may be able to relate to me more, even if we were talking about the same thing.
Well, and that's that uniqueness of everybody. When you talk about a lot of these retreats, everybody that's going through it, you could have 20 people at a retreat. Each person is probably going to take something different out of it because they are unique.
Hmm.
They will do, you could have one type of breathing exercises, and maybe half the people it's great with, another part it's okay, and another part they just don't get it. And if you had somebody with a different breathing exercise for the same purpose, those who didn't get it, they get it. And so it's like covering everybody. You got to have that potpourri of opportunities.
Exactly. And like you just said, yeah, everyone's unique. And everyone, like, you talk about stories, and the stories, that's so important because we all have stories. We got millions of stories in our lives, and how we incorporate that into our own toolbox. And that's in combination with the tools that you get from the retreat, and that related to your own stories. So a big part of the tools come from your own stories. That's what I've done now in the past in the workshops that I've done, whether it's online or offline. I make people work and write their own stories in,
Right.
and kind of implement that into the toolbox and be like, look, you got stories of confidence. You got so many stories of being brave and, being courageous about something, or stories about clarity where you had a moment of absolute focus. And when you write those down, you realize actually so many, I mean, almost all the tools that I can use are from my own life. So that's the beauty of it. We all got it's here, it's inside. And thank you, CJ. She just wrote such a beautiful comment. Yes, exactly. So yeah, we got the stories are within us. It's that innate wisdom that we have. And we just need to find a way to tap into it and to remember, of course, I've have lived here on this planet for 46 years. Sounds a lot. And I got a lot of stories.
Well,
And I
and
told
when you talk about that too, when you get people to tell their stories, to see what they've done, what they can do, one of the things about that kind of aligns with how I look at igniting awareness,
Mhm,
because so often people don't see what they can do. They don't see the control that they can take back, or the control that they've given their fears. And especially, and it's fun to be, there's some people I like to talk the imposter syndrome, because they don't like the word, and it's like, it's real. I don't care. And when it comes to that, being able to walk somebody from where they were to where they are now, that's the stories. You're having those stories because you commented about the stories of strength, stories where they did something positive.
mhm,
And too often our fears are telling us everything that's going wrong.
mhm,
And we need those stories. We need somebody to get us looking at those stories so that we can see we're exactly where we're supposed to be. But for me, it's like, I'll talk with women and walk them through the imposter syndrome. It's like, look what you did here, here, follow the thread, and realize that where you're sitting right now, you're not ready for this job, the next job, maybe even two down the road. You're ready for the third one down the road, the fourth one. That's
mhm.
where you belong. So
Exactly.
pull the stories and see the reality in these stories.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. And that's actually something I realized not so long ago. I've talked about this for with a lot of people and coached and everything, but that's how usually we also I grow every time I coach someone. Every time I learn something about myself. And
Hmm.
then and that also to trust my own stories. Because for the longest time, and it's even this year and not so long ago, there was this a 50, what was that? The CJ's and Nicole's
Oh,
50 influential,
50 inspirational.
yeah, exactly, on LinkedIn. And when that started, and that's thanks to you, Susanna, that I even know about it. I was like, who, I wouldn't have known about it if it wasn't for you, Susanna. And even when that started, I was like, oh, that imposter syndrome. I don't have that kind of story. Like, all these people with these major big stories, and all this, like, who am I? That And then I did share. And then I did share more. Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
50 inspirational connections. And that's how it all started. When I started to trust my own story and be like, well, I've been telling this to a lot of other people, like, yeah, trust your story. You got all the things, you innate wisdom and all this. Why am I not listening to myself? Like, I have the stories too, not just all the others and the people that I get to coach and to do this stuff. Me too. I have it too. And it's just beautiful. Actually, this is kind of is well, not a secret anymore if I'm saying it here, but I started to write a book. And so we'll see what comes out of that story. But this is like official. Now I get put some pressure on myself to keep writing and actually like publish it. Because yes, I
Exactly.
do have a story too.
Yeah, and I'll take Sia's comment here. It's like I have a feeling there's really multiple versions of imposter syndrome, and the one that I especially focus on is the one where you just don't feel like you belong where you are. It can be because you see what other people are doing. It can be because of what's happened in your past. Because for me, I lived it for 50 years.
Hmm.
I was forced into it
Hmm.
from the beginning. But and then we have our beautiful CJ. Is like she never takes no. Um, and you never know what's going to happen next.
Hmm.
But it's been great, and we're getting up to the end of the hour. So it's like we could keep going, and
I
we always
know.
do. We always keep going. So what I'd love for you to do is kind of take us home with this. Have the final words of whatever whatever words of wisdom you want to pass to everybody that's listening.
Oh, wow. There's so much I could say, but like I want to keep things simple and clear. And the one word that I would love for everyone to really take to their hearts is the word trust. Like, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, however you're approaching things and anything, trust. Trust yourself and trust whatever the process is that you're in. If you trust yourself, trust the process, nothing can go wrong. And keep coming to that. Keep reminding yourself, trust. Just keep trusting.
I like that. And that's we do need more trust in the world. Um, so with that, we have had a great conversation, and as usual, as it always goes, we went everywheres with this chat, um,
Yes.
and that's what it's supposed to be. It needs to be that diverse conversation that really pulls people in for lots of topics, opportunities. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad that you were here. I'm so glad we finally got to talk. We keep saying it in okay, so it's a public conversation. But look at the amazing friends who have been here with us in this conversation. And that makes it all the more wonderful.
Exactly.
Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody else. Yes, Danielle, we always need more time. Uh, and
Yes.
thank you, everybody, for coming, for showing up, and for those who are on Team Replay, thank you for coming. And please, I hope you make comments as you watch the show, because every time you make a comment, every time you tag us in those comments, we get those notifications to come back and make sure that we do get to include you in the conversation, because these conversations, it's a big conversation, and we have so much in this world to do. So thank you so much, Paula, and for everybody else, have a great rest of your Wednesday, a great rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week when From Boxes to Butterflies comes back. See you later.
Thank you, Susanna.